Good evening, folks. It's Diamond with the Oppenheimer Ranch Project, Shinrin-yoku, and Magnetic Reversal News, bringing you a magnetic excursion update. Wednesday, September 23rd, 9 p.m. Mountain Time, 2020. And you're looking at beached pilot whales. I'm sure you've heard almost 500 pilot whales stranded in Australia, Tasmania specifically. Almost 400 of those have died, and probably most will. Now, as hundreds of dead whales spur efforts to save the few remaining survivors, and kudos go out to these people, the whales are lost. And even if we get them back into the water, they'll probably swim right on shore because their magnetic coupling devices that are in their nervous system are malfunctioning. Now, what does that mean? Why are they malfunctioning? Well, if you're unaware and you're new to the channel, the Earth's magnetic field has been weakening exponentially. And it really turned a cusp in 1850. And by 2000, it was reducing by 10% a decade. And that increased from 2015 to 2020. Almost an exponential drop-off now, where the endpoint is somewhere before 2050, where the magnetic field's strength will drop below 5%, which is very bad for human health on the planet and could lead to the next mass extinction. Because as the magnetic field weakens, the poles shift. And it's not the pole shift that's the problem, but that's one of the problems. The poles are rapidly moving towards the equator all of a sudden within the last 100 years. The South Pole is now off the Antarctic continent and headed towards Indonesia, and the North Pole is moving across the Arctic Circle into Siberia as we speak, and will soon be headed towards, yes, Indonesia, where the two will meet in just a few decades. Now, the waning magnetosphere is the biggest problem, and let's come back to that. As the magnetic field weakens on Earth, more cosmic radiation can enter. More radiation in general, just not cosmic rays. The entire broad spectrum of radiation will increase. Did you notice that this summer, just standing in the sun for a few minutes is hellish? That's because we're at solar minimum. We have a reduced magnetic field, and you're feeling the effects of that radiation. UVA, UVB, even UVC hitting the surface, as well as dozens of other types of radiation, which are increasing, making the sun feel hotter, making you get burned quicker. And this is going to be increasing for the rest of your lives until the excursion takes place and then the reversal happens. It will either reverse or go back to normal. But the incurring excursion, whether it's a reversal or not, those have been documented in recent years to have caused some of the largest mass extinctions on the planet in recent memory, including the Younger Dryas event, which eliminated up to 65% of megafauna in places like the Earth. All the megafauna in North America were eliminated. Some of it still exists in Africa, like the elephant, the giraffe, the rhino. Similar creatures lived in North America just 11,000 years ago, but the magnetic excursion led to cosmic catastrophe unseen. And that's where we're headed in just the next few decades, which is why this channel exists. Now, let's break it down. Why did these whales get stranded and what's going on? A lot of people just are generally saying, well, it's the magnetic field, it's the grand solar minimum, but it's not. And I'm going to prove it to you tonight. So we just had a stranding, one of the largest strandings ever. 500 whales. But there is data on other strandings. So let's talk about that. Back in 1996 in Doonesboro, 320 pilot whales were beached. Back in 1996. Remember that date. Another massive stranding here, and the first in Tasmania, 50 whales in 2009. 1996, 2009. And in New Zealand, more than 600 pilot whales washed up at the end of September 2017. 2009, 1996, and the end of 2017. Are those just random dates? They are not. 1996 falls at the bottom of solar cycle 22, when maximum cosmic radiation is entering the planet. And this would be diminution of the magnetic field as well, confusion to the animals. 2007, the same exact spot on the solar cycle, was the first beaching of 50 whales in Tasmania. 2017, the end of the year, was the largest perturbation in the solar cycle, dropping it all the way down to here. The time of a massive whale stranding, and then we have one at 2020. So these were going to continue for maybe another year or so, but when we get solar minimum of 25, we should expect them to happen in 2031, 2, or 3. These are predictable events based on the waning magnetosphere and the breakdown of our sun, all happening simultaneously, predictably. And that's why we started the channel. The magnetic excursion or reversal that we're living is going to continue for another decade or so, as the sun also enters grand minima for another decade or so. These two events happening at the same time, in my opinion, are not coincidental, but in fact will accentuate the rush towards the next ice age. Because based on proxy data, in the next 1,400 years or so, we will be in maximum glaciation once again. And many scientists have been wondering what transpires to kick that off. Well, you're looking at it. The poles are rapidly moving as the Earth's shield is weakening, and we're entering grand minima. All unrelated in a sense. The grand solar minimum is a 400-year cycle of the sun. 100, 200, and 400, each different magnitude. Then there's the 1,000-year bond cycle. There's the 12,000-year magnetic excursion cycle. Cycles upon cycles. And you and I are living the next major cosmic catastrophe on Earth. The mainstream's not going to tell you. The powers that be won't tell you either. Because everyone would be living differently if they knew what was happening. Proper prior planning prevents piss poor performance. When I've just proven to you that the 1996 event, the 2009 event, the 2017 event, and the 2020 event are all related to the solar cycles of our sun, and also related to the magnetic excursion, which we are now living. Do you see the pattern? I do. I hope you got something out of the video. Climate change has nothing to do with it, so don't let them blame it on you. It's not you. It's not CO2. It's the sun and the weakening magnetic field. Proper prior planning prevents piss poor performance, because this is going to rapidly increase. And we hope each and every one of you stays safe and is properly prepared for a grid down scenario coming soon. And that, well, that's a boom. We love each and every one of you. Thanks to our one-time donors. Thanks to all of our new subscribers on Magnetic Reversal News and Shinrin Yoku. Now is the time to change the paradigm. Live differently. Reset. Take a walk in the woods. Begin the healing. And be safe.